It takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. That's a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor was an American political figure, diplomat, and activist. She was the First Lady of the United States from 1933 to 1945, during her husband, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's 4 terms in office, making her the longest serving First Lady of the United States. I really, really like that quote. And what it is, wishing is great. It fosters creativity, thinking outside the box, which helps with problem solving, and sometimes it can be a little bit relaxing. However, sometimes just wishing doesn't really get you anywhere. You're just in your head. So it's really important to put together an action plan to help your wishes become a reality. In this episode, I want to help you understand a tool or an option that is available to many of you, yet may not be as widely discussed, or perhaps there may be some misconceptions about the tool that exist. This is the reverse mortgage. Our guest today is Kathy Huynh, mortgage agent level 2 at Mortgage Alliance. Kathy is an avid wellness enthusiast. In her spare time, she used to teach group fitness and run personal training workshops. Kathy is also an avid reader of true crime novels. Kathy brings all of this passion to serving her clients and helping them achieve their goals. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for inviting me. Much appreciated.
As I mentioned, in this episode, we're going to learn about the reverse mortgage. You will find out what it is and how this can be a valuable tool for you or someone you know to consider in their real estate investment portfolio. So before we begin, I just want to ask you one quick question because I think many of us, when we hear about reverse mortgage, it's probably watching TV or streaming commercials, and half of those commercials are from the US. And we're getting this information about reverse mortgage in the US. So before we get into anything, can you, Kathy, tell us, is there a difference between a reverse mortgage that's in Canada versus something that's in the US?
Yes. So reverse mortgage for Canada is very, very different from the US. And the thing is, when a lot of people search up reverse mortgage, we notice that, the US information comes up first. So the difference is that their age is already different. In US, it's 62, and here in Canada, it's 55. So that alone, so when a consumer looking up reverse mortgage, they should consider adding, reverse mortgage in Canada. And so the more current stuff for Canadian comes up. So that way you're just focusing on the Canadian side of the reverse mortgage,
right,
instead of the US. It gets confusing if you have the two together.
Right. So that's why we're here today, because just to know, people to be aware that there is reverse mortgage. We hear a lot about it. Probably information comes up related to the US. But today we're going to really focus on reverse mortgage and what that means in Canada. So let's get started, Kathy. So what exactly is a reverse mortgage?
So reverse mortgage is basically taking the equity that's in your property and using that. And reverse mortgage started about 35 years ago, approximately about a little bit more over, and it started in Vancouver, right? What it is for people, individual who are over the age of 55, they can tap into, if they own a property, they can tap into that and use it like a cash or something to help them along the way.
Okay, awesome. So basically it's you own your property, you're a Canadian citizen, and you can get a reverse mortgage to use, take out cash, have a loan to take out cash from your property, use the equity in your property.
Correct.
Awesome. So why or when would someone use a reverse mortgage? Why would they consider this? maybe give us one of the top reasons why someone would be looking into getting a reverse mortgage.
So several things regarding reverse mortgage, which I want to just quickly go over, just eligibility too, just so people can understand. For reverse mortgage, the individual has to be 55 years old. You have to be a homeowner. So you need to own that property, right? For those on title, all on title of that property must meet the minimum requirement 55. So if somebody was over the age of, one is over, like if you have a couple, one is 55 and another is 50, then you won't qualify. Just so it's clear to everyone. And then if you're 55 and the other person is 60, you both, you can apply for that. The other thing is also it comes with husband and wife. Sometimes when you get married, the husband owns the property already and then you move in. So the wife might not be on title. Then in that case, it also is applicable that both husband and wife must be over 55. And that goes for common law.
Even if the wife is not on title.
Correct. Even if the wife is not. But because you're married, it works differently, the marriage law, right? So when you sell a property on a marriage law, you have to split that. So that's why when it's common law or husband and wife, they both need to meet that minimum age requirement. This kind of information it's not really available online. So it's those details that consumer don't get that information from, which they should, and they should reach out to us and we will be able to help them with. Some of the reason why people want to look into using reverse mortgage is, I can give you a few scenarios, okay? So for example, home renovation, right? They could use it for home renovation. Let's take a look at this. A retired couple in their late 60s, okay? They probably had the property with them for like the last 30 years. The mortgage is paid off. If they live in the GTA, think about, you might want to consider, if they're considering retiring, they might want to sell, but the property might be a little rundown. And then they might need a renovation, but the couple may not have existing savings to cover the cost of that renovation. Because nowadays, with supply chain and the cost of, supply is so high, renovation cost is very high, right? By renovating their property, it will actually increase the value of their property, and at the same, so it will help them a long way. And they can use the reverse mortgage to borrow that fund to cover for the renovation that they want done. So it's useful in a sense. At the same time, increasing the value of their property when they sell will help them make some money along the way.
I just want to kind of stick on the renovation piece. So say, I know you gave a couple, in their 60s, but say somebody, there's a couple in their 50s, 55, but both of them are 55 or over 55, and they just qualified. And yes, renovation is awesome. What if they were renovating to create a second unit in their home? So have a dual unit, legal basement, apartment, and they can potentially rent it out. Is that something that would be eligible under the reverse mortgage?
Yes, because the money they take out, it's their cash. They could pretty much use it for whatever they want. So that's definitely another option, right? Looking at investing into, maybe fixing up a finished basement, renting it out as an additional income. And, that will help them, especially around this time, like when everything is very costly. So it's definitely looking at something that, that will help them along the way.
Okay, awesome. That's great. All right, you're going to go do another scenario.
So another scenario that reverse mortgage could be used is this for down payment for your adult child. So reverse mortgage, because it's for people over 55, a lot of us would have children some of us will have children who's in the adult age, right? So I'm thinking of, imagine like we're in our 60s and you have an adult kid who's maybe in his late 20s, early 30s. And they start working after they finish university for a few years, but they want to live in the GTA close to mom and dad. Well, mom and dad has their own property there, but it's paid off. But then now the son wants to also live nearby because he wants to start a family. So, but saving right now for GTA price is about, I'm going to go average 1 million. I know some are at 1.5, some are a little lower, but we're going to do 1 million. $1 million for like a young adult that just finished school, been working for 3 to 5 years, is a lot of money still to save for a down payment of 20%. If you don't want to pay the default mortgage insurance, 20% of 1 million is $200,000 they have to save.
Right.
Finishing school, you got to pay for your student loan. So you're working on that while you're working full time, but now you want to start a family and you're saving, but you only are able to save up to a certain amount. And so if if the son or the daughter save only up to 100,000 and they're still short 100,000, this is where mom and dad can use the reverse mortgage equity to help do the down payment as a gift to their son, so that they can put in for the property if they want to, live, especially in the GTA. It's pricey here. So nowadays, it's not uncommon anymore for parents to help out their children, especially with down payment. And this is one of the options that they can think of using for down payment.
So this is a great tool that kind of comes back to, there was a survey done by Royal LePage earlier this year with regards to first-time home buyers. And a lot of people were having that. One of the key things that they were finding hard was actually coming up with a down payment. And they were going to be asking family members, et cetera, to help them out with this. So this is a nice scenario if someone's parents are 50, both of them are 55 years and over, and they have a lot of equity in their home, their mortgage is paid off, for example. This would be that perfect example for them to be able to take that reverse mortgage or take out, say, $100,000 or whatever amount they want to take out, and then gift that to their child. So I noticed you did use the word gift it to their child. Does it needs to be a gift?
And gift.
Yes. Okay.
It has to be a gift. It can never be a loan, right? And most parents are pretty good with giving to their children, as I am. We all are. We have to. You brought them here. You take care of them.
Right. Okay, so excellent. So gifting. So yeah, this is another excellent tool. So if people are thinking, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to help my child out to come up with that down payment? This reverse mortgage is a tool that
it's an option. Yeah,
exactly. So with the reverse mortgage, I know you're going to give me another scenario, but I wanted to delve a little bit in terms of, say someone takes out their $100,000 or $200,000 and they gift that to a child. How does it work with regards to paying it back? Or what do they have to do? What is the obligation?
That's a great question. I was going to get into that too, because I want, people to understand how the payment works, right? So with reverse mortgage, it's not like your traditional traditional mortgage where, you have to go. So one of the key few things about it, that's different from a traditional mortgage is there's no stress test, okay? There's no income verification. So you skip all of that already. So that alone, it's a big, huge plus. Because nowadays, as a mortgage agent, I understand the challenge just to get my client qualified, because the stress test, it's like probably at 9% right now with the stress test. So it's really high. With the reverse mortgage, that's not needed. We don't do stress tests and there's no income verification. As long as you own the property, you're over the age of 55, you can dip into it. Now, the amount you get, it also varies by your age. So the older you are, the higher the amount. And I don't really need to explain why that's the reason. Obviously, as you age, your life span gonna, decline a little. So the lender will lend, as the older you are, the higher the amount, right? As for payment, it's flexible. So there's no payment option. It's interest only. So basically, you don't have to pay anything. If you want to pay, there are options where you can pay a monthly minimum amount. It's really up to the individual if they want to make any payment or pay nothing at all. Now, paying back, how it works is that once you sell, that's when you pay back your loan, okay? Or when the last owner passed. So either one. So either when you decide if you're selling, then that's when you pay back that reverse mortgage loan, or when the last owner, I guess the last person on title is passed away, then that property would be sold and then would be paid back to the lender first.
Got it. And I'm not sure. This thought just came to my mind when you were speaking about this. So you have husband and wife. They're both on title, and they both qualify. In a scenario like that, could these parents put their child on title
of the property?
They got so they got reverse mortgage. and they went through that process, and then 3 years later or 5 years later, they thinking, oh, I'd like to have my child. It might not be one of my children. I want to have them on title. Would that be something that's allowable?
That has to go through the lender. So it varies. It's subjective, right?
Got
So
it.
we don't want to tailor it because as you know, with loans and stuff, that the lender has the last say. So they will review the case by case. So in some cases they may consider it, in some cases they may not. But I will leave that up to the lender to decide whether or not, it would be, yeah.
Okay, no, that's good to know. It was curious because I could see that scenario coming up, especially if someone with Alzheimer's becoming very the prevalence of this and the incidence is higher.
Yeah.
There could be a situation where somebody took out the reverse mortgage and then later on one of the children is made power of attorney or what have you, and they're put on title, etc. Like things are,
Yeah, no, it's great
planning,
actually. This is
end of
this
life
is
planning. So
yeah. That was great. That was a great question because it's true. I mean, obviously, if you're in your 70s or even and you take out the equity to help your children and, or like you say, if you're starting to lose your memory or anything, and now, you need to help your parent and you may have to move in and live there and take over the property. Yes, the lender would probably you would have to review this with the lender, and then they will have to discuss in terms of how they would collect payments and how it will work. Because especially if someone else that's going on title is under the age of 55.
Right.
So that can be very tricky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's good to know that these kinds of things are dealt on a case by case scenario, and that's excellent. It shows the flexibility of the tool.
Yes.
Okay. So what about your third scenario?
So the third one, now we're looking at current economy right now. As you know, it's challenging but food prices are higher, gas is costly, just the cost of living itself is challenging for a lot of people. And, you read in the news nowadays, there's more homelessness than before ever, right? But a lot has to do with the pandemic and what's going on with the rates and the house price and the cost, of living and everything. So imagine a senior who has regular healthcare expenses. I mean, like my father, just use my father's example, he doesn't get a lot of pension, right? The pension and the OAS is not high enough because the amount he gets does not cover the basic rent in Toronto. Okay, so if you own a property and you're living on your own, now a lot of expense and bills can add up, like healthcare expense, especially as we age. A lot of medication is not covered by OHIP. A lot of stuff is not covered. Even if you have private insurance, it's not even covered, right? So if you have a property and you basically are sitting on your property and everything is paid off, property is, you can use that equity from your property to help you pay some of those debts and help you cover some of those expenses in the interim for you to just survive and get through this very challenging time. So this is a great option for a lot of senior, if they own a property and they're struggling to get by a month to month. Consider if the property is sitting, especially if you're a senior who's sitting there and you own this property and you don't have any children to pass it on to or anyone else, you're sitting on your own. Basically, you're sitting on your own savings and investment.
Right.
Consider that. Use it for when you need it now. Then take some of it out. And with reverse mortgage, they're very flexible in terms of how they pay out.
Okay.
So this is how I want to. So you have the option to choose a lump sum. Like say if you need $50,000 from the equity, you can have them give you the $50,000 upfront, or if you want to be a little bit more conservative, you can spread it out. So let's say right now I'm short each month. I'm getting $2,000 with pension, OAS, and I'm short like $1,000. So you can say, if they can fund you $1,500 each month for the next 5 years. Like basically, they can do that. So they can break the payments up for you. So the installment, you can do the installment. And that way, you don't have to take a whole chunk. Because then, just in case you spend all that $50,000 in shopping.
It's a way of managing your funds for yourself, especially if you're not good.
Exactly. And it helps you, there's cash coming in to help help you during this time, right? Because it's really hard for a lot of people. And, I can't imagine how the pension can cover all of the stuff that's going on, like food costs and like transportation and like, the basic living,
Yeah.
itself.
And if you're
Yeah.
ill, and if you have an illness or you need
Yeah, that
special
can be the special.
accessibility,
Yes.
yeah, it
Yeah,
can
and
add up
special
quickly.
medication, they're very
Hmm.
costly, like some of these medications. So, you know, you don't want to be, there's only so much you can dip into your own savings account, right? And then after a while, you're gonna, you might run out. And so this is an option to, consider.
Okay, so if I am understanding correctly, potentially you can get a reverse mortgage. You don't have to take the money all at once. You can have the money spread out in predetermined amounts, and ultimately on the back end, you're also I'm assuming not paying as much interest because you're not taking out all that money
Correct.
at once. So you're
Yes.
actually
Paying
minimizing or
on, yeah.
yes, only on what you're using.
Yes, exactly. Excellent. Yes, because they're only charging you based on the amount that gets taken out.
Got it. So it's not like you have a bank account.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask a question about that. So if you do have the money, where does the money sit? Is it sitting in something that's earning interest? Do you know what I
Well, that
mean?
usually the money that gets funded to you would just be funded to you like as in like a cash whatever, and you can use that however you wish. You can put it into an investment account, or you can
Yeah.
put it into your own savings account and stuff like that, and just let it sit there and use it, like as your own savings basically.
And then one more question. So is this money that you get, the equity that you take out of your home, is this taxable?
It's not taxable, no, and it doesn't affect your pension and it doesn't affect your OAS because technically, really, you're borrowing money out of your own property and using it, so it's your own cash.
All it is that you're paying is the interest for the loan.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So, you did. I know when we just. Do you have first? Do you have another scenario? Did you wanted to share?
That is so much for
Okay.
now.
Okay. Awesome. So, what you did mention some of the factors to consider, but maybe maybe you can review some things that we might need to listen or think about before we decide to use a reverse mortgage, or what other factors should we think about before we're using that or that tool?
Yeah. So yeah, we usually do an assessment first, right? So like looking at your whole financial picture, before considering reverse mortgage. I mean, it's a great option. Of course, there's other I know there's other option out there. This is one of them, right? One of the thing is you obviously have to consider is um, when you're using the equity in that property, it will depreciate the property, like the equity in your property, and so you will have less to pass on to your children,
Right.
right? Um, Another thing is, um, because it's not like traditional mortgage, like I said, there's no income or stress test that's needed. One of the things that people should also consider thinking about is um, because the confusion a lot of the time we get is the age,
Okay.
the 55
Hmm.
years thing. So which is why I stressed that in the beginning. So one of the things too they should really pay attention to is how many people is on title. And if all those people on title, they must all meet that 55 years. So one of the challenge we had was sometimes the age, they assume that since I own the property, I'm 60, but then, you could have somebody else own like under the title too, who may not, they are qualified to use that. But everyone has to be over the age of 55 if they're on title to use that. And then, yeah, so I think that's, pretty much, they should think about before using.
Okay. And then I have one more question because I think I heard this. Um, when you're taking out an equity or a reverse mortgage, so you're taking equity out of your home,
Mhm.
it's important for you to or for you to maintain your property value. So making sure that you're taking the money out of the home, but you need to make sure you're maintaining it. It's still maintaining the value because the lender, they're using that as the collateral. So when it sells, they're anticipating. In the GTA, we've seen um, year over year, on average, is between 6.6 and 7% equity growth across all types of properties. So they're using that information and assuming that in however many years, there should have been some equity growth.
Correct. So one of the things that it's a good thing you brought that up. I wanted to point out too is the property value. The property itself. So the upkeep of the property and the condition it is. So when you are applying for a reverse mortgage, the lender, I told you, aside from 55% of the loan to value of your property, they actually are going to do an appraisal on the property before deciding the amount. And they also need to know the location. It's similar to when, you're taking a loan. They will look at the location to see if it's marketable and then to see how well you maintain that property. And that's how they determine the amount that they lend you.
Got it. It's very important to consider. Yes, this is a tool, but making sure that you understand what that criteria and eligibility, what people are looking at, because the lender is doing a risk assessment when they're doing this, because they want to make sure it's a solid risk when they're providing these funds.
So so if the property is in a good location, within the GTA, it's well kept upkeep, because they will do an appraisal. That the amount that the lender will lend out will be a little bit higher, right. So they do look at that. Aside from the age factor, they also look at the property, the way it's upkeep, and then also where you actually located.
Okay, got it. So with that, I think we got a really good overview in terms of a reverse mortgage. Is there anything, Kathy, that you would like to add with regards to this product or tool?
Yes. When we first started talking about how people look things up online, and we get that a lot too from clients asking. So I think it's important, if anyone are interested in looking at using this reverse mortgage, is to reach out to a mortgage broker or mortgage agent, because the information what you may read online is not clear, and a lot of the information, again, sometimes it's mixed with the US stuff, so it gets very confusing. We Google everything, right? We want to learn how to cook something, Google. But as you know, not everything online is facts. So It's always important, if you're serious and you've decided, this is one of the options you're choosing to do, reach out to us. Reach out to a mortgage agent or broker, because we can give you a more in-depth information and more detail, and we can do a better assessment for you. And everyone is subjective. Each person is different, so your situation is unique. So when your situation may be unique from somebody else, we always assess that, and then we can determine, whether it's suitable for you or not, or whether something else is more suitable for you. Instead of just reading things online and then getting confused and then deciding, but if you are pursuing it, reach out to us, and we will be better, to inform you of what. And as you know, with any mortgage, reverse mortgage, even traditional, it changes. Things changes annually.
Yes, off-season doing changes all the time.
Yes, off-season doing changes all the time. FISTRA changes all the time. So we, as the professional, we keep up with the changes in our industry. So we would have the most updated information for you.
Excellent.
So that is more accurate.
Excellent. So I can, if I do an analogy, those recipes that are not tested, you are tried and true, tested, qualified mortgage agent that can help us to understand where we sit, because it's a case-by-case scenario. We can take out a reverse mortgage is something, a loan you can take out on the equity of your property. You have to be over 55 years of age. Each person who's on title, whether it's marriage or common law, and an appraisal will be conducted by the lender. And that it is something for you to consider, whether you're helping out a child or a friend or someone with regards to a down payment for them to start their life, or maybe you want to supplement your income, or maybe you want to do a renovation and upgrade your home and perhaps have some additional income coming in with a legal basement apartment or illegal second unit. So those are the things that we gathered from you, Kathy, and always talk to a professional who could help you work on a plan of action. So get all of those ideas out of your head and into an action plan. So thank you so much, Kathy. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Like what you hear? Follow this podcast today. Don't forget to share with family and friends. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my producers, Stories and Strategies, for their excellent work. Thank you.